It's called folk style wrestling, and then it's pretty similar to like Olympic wrestling, which is freestyle. It's just the rules are a little bit different. The scoring is different.
Right.
So like in freestyle, you get points for back exposure. So if you feet over to back, which is the suplex, then you get like 5 points or 4 points or something like that. But in folk style, you don't really get points for like like back exposure. Yeah, not for that. So you get like when you land on the ground and you get a takedown, then that's 2 points. So you don't really get as much reward for such like high effort move.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
you just don't do it.
You can get the points somewhere else a lot easier.
A lot easier.
A lot easier, yeah.
That's funny. We were saying that down the road, I guess, you want to be able to expand what you're doing with the business or expand what you're doing with the wrestling. Which way would you?
I think I'd like to do both. My dream is to have like a gym where it's like half like a store and then half where it's like just a mat room.
See, that's typical Asian mentality because Filipinos, dude. And I'll explain. It's not a racist or anything like that.
Sounds like it.
In the Philippines, right? Somebody has their house, and all the time, like either on the side of the house or in an area of the house, they sell stuff, like almost like a little store.
Oh, okay.
It's called a sari-sari store, meaning, just whatever's there is what we're selling. So it could be anything from bubble gum to toothpaste to just a bunch of stuff, but it's in their house.
Right.
Now, that's in the house. And then they have a business somewhere, and they're doing maybe travel stuff, right? So they have office computer and all that. On the other side of that travel business, they have the same store that they have in front of their house.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's any space that you can get.
Yeah.
And if you ever go to a Filipino restaurant, especially if it's like in one of those strip mall areas, not inside their actual mall, but a strip mall area, right?
Okay.
You'll see that they're selling the one thing, but off to the side they'll be selling all kinds of other stuff.
Interesting.
Like
I guess they have a lot of hobbies too.
Yeah, but if you go down Chinatown, even here in the Bay Area, you'll see some of the same things. It's an Asian. I don't know what it is. But I just call, that's an Asian thing because I see that done in a lot of Asian
Will you
groups.
stop hitting the damn table?
Sorry. But I see that a lot, and that's why I say, hey, that's, and the thing is, you're more Americanized than anything else, so I'm like, wait.
Oh, I didn't know about that, but the thing about it is because, like I told
it's
you,
in her blood.
It's like I have to have both. I have to have like being able to like be creative and draw, and I have to also have like the physical side, like working out and like doing my thing. And if I have too much of one, then I start to like feel a little bit unbalanced, or I start to get like
so that's your yin and yang of you.
Yeah, so I really need
to
need to have both.
Oh no, haven't you noticed it's a trend amongst the people that we've been talking to? They always have this sense of the creative side of their brain and also the physical kind of aggro side where they
we do that here.
That
we
energy.
do that here with what we're doing. I mean, look at this. We teach the Filipino martial arts stuff, but we're doing this all of a sudden. I mean, and this just came out of weirdness. This was a COVID thing that we would have never even thought we were going to be doing this.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, we're into like 51 episodes so far. 52 now.
Yeah. You're 52, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're episode 52.
Nice.
Dude, it's I'll tell you, it's the most work I've ever done on any one thing.
We're not getting paid to
and we're not getting paid to do it.
One day.
And that's not even a big deal for us. I mean, we just, I think he and I share the same passion about being able to just get people's story out there.
Yeah.
Because, believe it or not, there's some really good people like yourself and some of the grandmasters that we've talked to who aren't recognized.
Not to the degree we think.
Not to the degree they should be. Yeah. I mean, there's this one gentleman, Mr. Grandmaster Harry Green, 82
he
now.
Told you
by
to
now,
call
right?
him Harry.
Oh, Harry. But this guy's incredible. He's 80 plus years old.
War vet.
I think it's just the values, like back in the day, like you're not supposed to brag about yourself or say, oh wow, look at how amazing I am.
And
which
that's
is like
why
Instagram culture is basically, be shamelessly
look how great I am, and you're not.
Yeah.
But if you listen to our shows, these people aren't bragging about anything because that's not what we bring out of them. I mean, just like you, right? We're just talking.
But it's because that's the reason they don't get found or people don't know who they are. It's just because they're not promoting themselves.
And that's why we do it for them. And we're always told by these people that, you guys are doing a great thing for the community because you're talking to people who would otherwise not get talked to and not brought out, you know.
Yeah.
And we're just doing something we enjoy.
Yeah, and for us, it's just like, dude,
Talk about a hobby.
We just want to know about you. That's all.
Right.
You know, we get people to come up and just, hey, I've known that guy for 10 years. He's never told me those stories. Like,
Oh.
you know, we get that kind of stuff
I
because
see.
That actually reminds me of something. Why didn't you stick in Kentucky with the wrestling?
So a couple of different reasons. So like,
It's been itching at me. Like, wait, she's doing something.
yeah. Well,
Why?
when I so at my senior year in high school, right, I became a state champion. I went to a few national tournaments and like I got 3rd and 4th, so I did pretty well at those tournaments, right?
Wow, you
My
placed in the
coach
top 3 in nationals.
Yeah, I mean nationals is basically a tournament where all the rich kids can go wrestle. But so if you can't
Wow.
afford the plane ride and the hotel, then you can't go. But
Oh.
it's like, you know,
Really?
yeah, but I mean
I
like you
didn't know
still
it was
get a
like
good
that.
group of like
Right.
people that are there. So I'd only wrestled for 3 years at that point. I was like, oh, that's pretty
Dude,
good.
you took 2nd and
Uh-huh.
3rd of only 3 years of wrestling. That's badass.
Yeah, 3rd and 4th. But it's like, okay, so my coach is saying, you know what, you should aim for the Olympics. Like, women's wrestling just came out in the Olympics, so you should aim for that. And I'm like, all right, this doesn't sound like a bad idea. So I was like, okay, like, gotta find a team to wrestle on, right? So my coach said, the best team right now is in Kentucky, at the University of the Cumberlands. They have, like, an Olympian person there. She went and, I don't think she medaled or anything, but she went to the Olympics for women's wrestling. So
she was the water boy.
yeah, so she was training there too,
Wow.
right? She coaches there.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go. And so I, went over there. Like half the team, a lot of the girls that were like, maybe the upper levels, like junior, seniors, like most of them had graduated by the time I got there. So half the team was like all freshmen. You
Oh,
know?
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That must have been weird.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, where did all the good girls go?
Yeah. Right, you get there and you're like, nobody.
Yeah, I mean, there still were some good girls there,
Right.
but just not as many of them, right? And so I'm like, okay, well,
What
I'm
she's
gonna-
saying in a very humble way is she could take them all. So there was
Oh,
no
no,
challenge.
don't say that. Don't say that. Only because some of the girls were really upset about the fact that I was like hanging with the upper level girls.
So it's true.
See?
No, but
She's just so humble, folks. She's very nice. She's
I don't want-
sweet.
I
She
don't
would
want no
never
girls
say
to
that.
get mad.
I said that, but it seems obvious that it was right.
So like there was like a team of like 40 girls,
You're a
right?
troublemaker,
40
right.
girls on this team, and you can't take all of them to these like tournaments
Right.
and stuff. So you can only take like one from each weight.
Uh-huh.
So I was allowed to go to these tournaments with the other like older girls and everything like that. And I think some of them were thinking like, she's so cocky, like she thinks she's better than us, or things like that. But I mean, like for me, the honest truth was like,
You were.
it's not that I was. It was just that
You
like.
can punch him anytime you want.
Like a lot of these girls that were at the school, like
Uh-huh.
they didn't get a lot of attention from their coach. So a lot of them just weren't like at a very basic level, in my opinion. Like I'm teaching these like college girls like how to do a single leg, like
Oh,
how to do like some really basic techniques.
So you were teaching them.
A little bit, like I felt like I had to, because I'm like I'm not gonna go down if you're not doing it right. So I would like kind of help them a little bit.
Do this to me.
Wow.
And then when I got to wrestle like the other older girls, like I'd be struggling, but
Yeah.
they could recognize like, oh yeah, she's
You got
actually
skill,
like, pretty decent, pretty good. And so I mean like, yeah,
So
I don't
you
want
earned
to.
that respect, though.
Yeah, but the girls don't want to admit that. They don't want to like. They
Well,
don't.
no,
they don't
guys
wanna
do
think
the
like
same
they're-
thing. Don't. It's not just.
Yeah.
No,
it's
that's.
not.
It's like
yeah.
that in our realm
Yeah,
too.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Trust me.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like there was that, and I feel like I got like a little bit ostracized because of the fact that like I was, I don't know, maybe just too good, or not even that I was super good, but I think that the coach favored me sometimes.
Well, because he saw talent.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, he
also-
wanted wins. He
Yeah.
wanted,
Yeah,
so
he's
you're gonna
like,
take a girl that's gonna
yeah.
win. But the thing about it that I think that really pissed people off is that he would tell the team like, oh, I'm only gonna take like the most hardworking girls, the girls that are like they got their diet right, the girls that got like
Yeah.
that are running after practice,
Yeah.
they're doing stuff outside of the gym. And it's like I wasn't really like doing.
Any of those. You're just naturally
I was-
gifted.
I would just go to practice and I would just try to keep my weight down and like that was it, because we would have double day practices, so I'd be like pretty exhausted, like I don't have energy.
Like, who the
to run.
hell's gonna run after a double day?
Yeah. So I'm like, that's not me. Like I just I'm not.
But I'm good, so you can take me, coach.
Yeah. But I mean, like there were some issues on the team as well. So like the coach would be a little bit creepy among the girls and stuff. And
Oh,
then like
that's
I went to their art program, but to me their art program was like at a high school level. So I'm like,
Oh.
I'm not getting the education that I wanted
Okay.
either. And so, like, I heard some stories about the coach, and I'm like, you know, I don't think this is the right place for me to be. Like, I don't really see...
That's not conducive to what you want to do.
Yeah, like, I don't really see myself being a good wrestler here, and I don't see myself being a good artist here. So there's really, like... And I'm away from home. I haven't been home for, like, Thanksgiving or anything like that. So I'm like... And I'm really homesick. I don't really feel like I'm getting anything out of it. Like, this, my sacrifice away from home
Now,
is not
let
worth
me
it.
tell you something, because this brings up a fascinating point. Just yesterday, Naeem did a Naeem's shorts. Have you watched any of those?
I have not.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
Naeem's shorts are all about what his take is on training and how certain things, right?
Oh, okay.
And then the last one we did just yesterday, it was a segment called Honesty. And as you know, if you're not honest with anything that you do, especially in wrestling, if you just say, "Oh yeah, I'm really good," and you know you're not, but you're just trying to lie and you're not being honest yourself, you know you're going to get hurt at some point because you can't distinguish whether you really are that good or just really that bad.
Well, at what point? When you're fighting, or
Just
Well, at any point in
towards
your training,
right?
the idea is that if you can't self-evaluate honestly, whether it's positive or negative, then you're not going to grow, and
Yeah,
you're never going to be perfect at anything. So I mean, there's always room for improvement.
right?
But at the same time, you can't constantly be harking on yourself, saying, "Oh, well, I suck at this, I suck at this." You have to
yeah.
acknowledge the things you are good at,
right.
and like
I
you were
see.
saying, you acknowledge the fact that you
This
were
place
showing
is- yeah.
initiative to teach people things that you thought they should already know at that
Right.
level. You were seeing that you were getting way too much attention from a creepy coach.
Well, not me, but I was watching him do it to other
Oh.
girls. Yeah.
But even still, you know,
Still.
you're honest to your own convictions to say, okay, this is not a good place for me to grow.
Because
Right.
it doesn't fit with
Yeah.
what I want to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
And
that's
that's
hard.
the honesty, and that's hard to do that.
It is.
You know, especially when you're that far away. Oh, do I just go back home and
Oh,
show
Yeah.
failure.
Yeah.
And,
That was definitely, I think, one of the hardest periods was where I felt like I actually gave up. Because, you know, all
Yeah.
through, like, my high school years, like, the training was so hard. My coach was, really pushing me, and I was doing my best. And,
Yeah.
like, that was really hard training. And then all of a sudden, I just feel like, and I never gave up, right? Like,
Right,
I
right.
always finished all the exercises. I did everything to the best of my ability. But I never, like, quit, completely. And then now I feel like I let him down.
Yeah, you just,
And I'm like, what is my plan B? Like, what am I going to do after
Wow.
this, right? So it took a lot of
That's
evaluation.
Existentialist
But see, and
drama.
again, that goes back to that honesty of being honest with yourself to say, this just isn't going to work for me because it's not going to let me grow to where I want to be, and I
Yeah.
just don't feel comfortable here because of that. It isn't because you were unable to do the stuff.
Right,
you were
right.
quitting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were
You weren't
not.
quitting.
You were not quitting. You were quitting the idea that this place sucks and I need to
Right.
go somewhere
Yeah.
where it's conducive to what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
That's not quitting. You're looking for something better,
Better, yeah.
to make yourself grow. So I don't see that as quitting.
Yeah.
I think at the time it felt like it because I was
Yeah.
letting so many people down around me, like, oh, like I'm quitting this Olympic dream, right?
Letting them down. Half the girls hated you.
Well, I didn't let them down.
Half the girls were like, yes!
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, I got another spot. I might be able to go to this one.
Now,
Yeah,
what
it's
other
actually funny.
bitch
There
am I
was
gonna
another
hit?
girl in my weight class that she really wanted to go to these tournaments. Like, she was a hardcore wrestler, and I was in her weight class, so I was the one going. And then when I left, I heard that she was able to go to all those tournaments, which is really
Good for her.
good.
See,
Yeah.
you made her dreams come true.
Look at that.
Kinda, yeah. She's
Yeah.
actually still competing, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, she's.
Well,
We won't bash her
her.
on the show to say that she's still
No, no,
sucks.
no.
No.
Your convictions paid off.
There you go.
She's actually really good now.
Oh,
She's really
awesome.
good. Yeah, she's won a few tournaments, and she's like competing at she's aiming for the Olympics for real. Like,
Oh,
she's
wow.
really good.
Good
yeah.
for her.
Yeah,
So,
awesome.
like, yeah.
Where do you see yourself going in that sense? Are you going to keep training Olympians?
No. I enjoy teaching at like the high school level because
Right.
I like seeing that growth.
The
and
growth,
for
right.
me, it's almost like I get to be the coach that I wish I had. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well,
so
that's
like
cool.
when I coach these young girls who are feeling a little bit lost, a little bit insecure, I'll be there to kind of be like, here's all your good points. Here's what you're good at.
Look what I looked at when I started.
Yeah.
You see this? Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, so for me, it's like a little bit of healing. Just be like, you know what, I care about you girls, even if the other coaches may not, and so I
Right.
want to make sure
Aw.
that you guys get the attention that you need to grow.
Do you?
Wow.
You know,
That's so cool.
And that's really important, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
if you don't nurture the student,
Yeah.
you don't see their potential ever.
Right.
and then they get discouraged and they stop and they do whatever else.
Well, you know what's surprising about wrestling is that like usually the most hard-headed kids are the ones that stay. So even if they don't get a lot of attention, like some of them will stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kid stayed. We've been tring to get rid of him for the last 6 years.
Yeah. See,
And he's been with us for
he
7
should have been a
years.
wrestler.
Apparently, you guys suck at it.
He's okay. He's got some talents.
Some
We,
talents.
it's funny because when he was first starting out, it's that cocky kid syndrome. Oh, I know it all, but you don't know squat.
Yeah.
And then when you realize that, okay, I don't know it all, show it to me. Then that's when the kids grow.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
I mean.
Well, that's another reason why I kind of like limit to who I teach, because I can tell right away, like, who's gonna trust a girl wrestler that looks as young as I do, and
Yeah. Even though you're 103.
Yeah. And I don't really have like a huge reputation as a coach either, right?
Right,
So it's like
yeah.
it kind of takes a little bit of faith for
Yeah.
someone.
The
to,
resume that you bring out is like. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it doesn't look super
Yeah.
impressive.
She just hung out at the school. Kind of creepy, but.
Yeah. But like the girls are like, hey, you know what? I want a woman coach, because women actually wrestle a little bit differently than the guys do.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you want to have someone who understands those differences and can
Yeah.
kind of adjust to that. So yeah, I think I kind of fit the bill in that sense. Like I have some experience with like different styles, and girls tend to be a little bit more like sassier when they're wrestling. Yeah, I mean that's a weird way to put it, but it's just like they
I'm gonna have to start watching more
differently.
women wrestlers.
Yeah.
I think she means in the sharpness in their movements. I don't know if she
No,
means
no.
attitude.
Like it's the attitude.
Really?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
attitude.
sassy.
Because a lot of times they come out like, what's it? What a good word. Like sometimes it's like they try to like over intimidate, so they come out like really mean.
Wow,
Yeah.
you guys are scary.
Yeah. Or like can you imagine like a valley girl getting like really mad and they just like show it out on the mat?
Oh.
Yeah. Like imagine
Okay.
a girl who like is
Do
like
the whole head thing going and like, God.
Yeah. Like if you
Pumping
ever
their
see like
chest,
a valley
like,
girl get mad and just like throw something, like they're basically having like a mini tantrum as they're wrestling, sometimes.
Wow.
And they'll scream, they'll yell, they'll bite, they'll like.
No, wait,
they'll,
wait,
They'll
bite?
They'll bite.
On a mat.
Yeah. They'll pull hair.
Right.
They'll grab the singlet or
Yeah.
the clothes. Like they'll do some dirty things, to try to get that win. Like they come off a little more desperate.
Really?
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah. So it's
I don't know if
like,
I want to put you in the ring with her then.
Yeah. So like
But
you
we're
know,
gonna.
yeah.
But we're gonna.
I mean, I'm sure guys do that too, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
nearly as common as what I've seen with like
Yeah.
the younger girls.
Yeah, I'm sure guys elbow each other.
Well,
in
it
the
sounds
nuts.
like they're in a beauty pageant thing and they're just going after each other to
Kinda,
Could you
Yeah.
imagine, a beauty pageant where you're allowed to scratch and pull and
Yeah.
Well, because it's that kind of a deal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like Tanya Harding.
Like, girls are way more emotional, right? So it all
Yeah.
just comes out in like very interesting ways.
Yeah, because it's like the Tanya Harding, Kerrigan thing where she just went out and just
crowbar.
crowbar to the knee.
Yeah.
I'm gonna win this.
Like I think guys view it more as like a competitive sport, like
Right.
a fight, and girls
There's
really
some
take it
kind
more
of-
personally.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so it's just
scary.
it's very different.
Well, I mean,
I'm not gonna
half her team
play
in
with my
Kentucky
niece
hated
then.
her.
When she wants, hey uncle, you want to do some wrestling things with me? No.
Yeah.
Wait, which niece? 'Cause you have
I
a
don't
lot.
know if you met her. Her name is Crystal.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't meet her.
Yeah, she's actually pretty good. She actually did Kali with us for a little while in the beginning.
11 brothers and sisters all together.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a gazillion
And
nieces and
he's
nephews.
one of the younger ones.
Oh no.
Or the second
you
to
must have been
youngest.
hungry a lot.
No,
No?
dude, I'm one of those guys.